Hello and welcome to Dynamic Dashboards in Excel. Today's Friday, December 8th, 2023. This is the re-recorded version of the live seminar, so if you missed the live seminar, don't worry, we got you covered here. So my name is Philip Handke. I'm the founder of AnalyzeFinance.com, where we teach financial professionals how to use the tools that they need to level up their finance career. So let's go ahead and talk about what we'll be covering today. So why visualize? What's the point of it all? Aren't charts enough? So I've got a couple exercises for you, and these are going to demonstrate the importance of visualizing data, and I think you're going to enjoy those. So how to choose the right visual to convey your message. So what type of charts are available at your disposal, and how to choose the right one to convey your message. We've got some new and awesome Excel functions for you. I personally just learned about some of these about 3 to 6 months ago. These are awesome. They're super dynamic, and they're really helpful for building dashboards. So we'll have those available at our disposal today, and we're going to talk about how to create a dashboard that looks great and tells a story. So very important that you download the companion Excel workbook to follow along. I've sent those out on the emails that I've sent along to you. I'll send this in the email I'll send to you now. In the live session, we had YouTube notes to follow along, but once again, it'll be included in the email that I send out, so just go ahead and access that, and we'll go ahead and do that together. So why visualize? So here are some numbers. Okay, I'm going to pull these numbers back for a second. So why do you visualize data? So what's the point of it all? Now, I personally am an underwriting professional, and I could put charts on paper all day, but that's not ultimately very helpful. Now, as human beings, our brains aren't really wired to interpret data, interpret a bunch of numbers, and to make conclusions from them. And you'll see why in just a second here. So we're going to do something called a 10-second exercise. Now, in this exercise, I'm going to put some numbers on the screen, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what you learned about them. So obviously, this is a recorded session, so just kind of ask yourself, what do I see about these numbers? So here they are. All right, so those 10 seconds are up. So what'd you learn? So maybe you learned that, we're analyzing 4 different product types. Maybe you see that we're analyzing monthly sales by product type. Maybe you even see that some of these are going up and coming down. But if you're anything like me, you notice that it's hard to make conclusions, and it's really hard to kind of speak intelligently to what's going on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this in a little bit of a different direction here. So I'm going to take the numbers down. I'm going to put them up again, but this time, instead of putting the numbers themselves up, I'm going to put the charts up. So here we go. All right, so those 10 seconds are up. So as you can see with product A, we have an upward trend, then it comes back down. With product B, we kind of have a U-shaped trend here after a period of going up and then coming down. Product C is a upward slope. It's a very consistent slope, and then in October of that year, we get a big jump, and then it continues to do the same thing. And then product D is just kind of all over the place, but kind of a general downward slope. Now, I'm going to put the numbers back up here. If we just simply had these numbers, there's no way that we'd be able to know what's going on here. So, and especially for somebody like myself who's an underwriting professional, I can't just present this to somebody and have them make conclusions with it. I can't just slap this in front of them and say, here, look at this. Here's what happened. This is what we need. This is the importance of visuals, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So here are the different chart types that we have at our disposal in Excel. So here are the 7 chart types. At least these are my kind of, my favorite. And most of these are things that you've seen before. This isn't really, a big surprise with some of these, but bar charts are great for showing relative sizes or trends. And you use these when making simple comparisons. So as human beings, once again, our eyes can very easily detect the difference between bar charts. Now, you might see these up and down. These are, we'll kind of say these are laying on their side here, but you can very easily see the distinction there. So bar charts are very helpful for that aspect. Line charts are great for showing trends over time. So we've got an example of that, and we'll show that to you here in just a moment. Pie charts are great for showing percentage of the whole. Now, if you've been following me on LinkedIn for any amount of time, you know I'm not a huge fan of pie charts. And it's not because pie charts aren't useful. It's just simply that pie charts are simply just overused. And when you start adding, say a bunch of data labels and you add a bunch of 3D effects to these pie charts, you just really lose the effect of the chart itself. So use these sparingly when you can. At least that's my personal opinion. Use these when visualizing compositions, but be careful with these ones because these can actually kind of reduce the value of your presentation as opposed to add to it. Donut charts, we will show that here today. Donut charts are awesome. They're great for highlighting progress or composition. Stacked bar charts are just kind of like bar charts on bar charts. And these are great for highlighting the differences among multiple categories. So let's say that we worked at a grocery store. Let's say that we worked at like a Safeway chain or something like that. We wanted to compare store A, B, and C, how many apples, oranges, and grapes they sold. You could do something like that. That's kind of a silly example, but that might be a situation where you could use that. Area charts, I show them here. I'm not a huge fan of area charts. They're kind of hard to interpret, but you show these when comparing historical trends as well. And the combo charts, love combo charts. So the blue bars might be, say, revenue, and then let's say the red line is gross margin, and the blue bar is net profit. So I don't know too many situations where net profit would be higher than gross margin, but you get what I'm saying. So combo charts are great for highlighting multiple data types at once. Okay. So in just a moment, what we're going to do is we're going to take this data. Once again, I want you to download the workbook, and we're going to take this data and we're going to display this in the form of a dashboard. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull the dashboard up now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay? There it is. So basically all we've done here is we've taken this data and we're displaying it visually. But we're also going to make it interactive and in a way that our viewers can understand and enjoy. So that's a very important piece of visualization. So let's go ahead and back up here for a moment. So when I look at data like this, especially myself as a financial analyst, I'm going to start asking some questions. And when I put this data together, I asked 5 questions. Okay. The first question was, how much did we sell this month? Okay. So we want to track that over time. How much have we sold to date this year? So think year-to-date sales. And how does it compare to last year? How do those year-to-date sales compare to last year? Okay? So we can create a chart to figure that out. Did we meet our sales goal? If you look in the top right corner, column H is total sales, and then column I is your sales goal. So did we meet our sales goal? Very simple question. And if not, how close did we come? Question 4 is, how did total sales trend this year compared to last year? So, if you're doing, let's say that you're a CFO or you work in the financial planning department, you want to understand how sales did this year compared to last year. That's a very important metric that stakeholders want to know. How did total sales trend? Which products were our biggest sellers, and how do they compare to the other products? So, you could probably pick out that, product C is the biggest seller, but, in comparison to the others, especially like, let's say October 2022, if we wanted to display a dashboard for October 2022, how big were product C sales compared to the others? Dashboards can very easily answer that question for us. So what I'm going to do here is based on the charts, based on the visual that we just saw, I'm going to ask you, for numbers 3 through 5, I'm just going to give you numbers 1 and 2. These are called cards. At least in Power BI, this is called a card. In Excel, it's a text box. But did we meet our sales goal? If not, how close did we come? So let's answer question number 3 together. And I'll just pause for a moment and let you think about it. What kind of chart are we going to use here? Okay, so I'm going to use a donut chart for that. The reason I'm going to use a donut chart is because a donut chart, you can display composition. You can also display progress towards a goal. I think that would be really helpful. for January 2021, looks like we were about 98, 99% of our sales goal. So I'd want to show that. Excuse me, I just gave you the answer here. How did total sales trend this year compared to last year? So if we are tracking trends over time, that's going to be a line chart, right? Which products were our biggest sellers and how do they compare to the other products? So I'll just pause for a second. I'll let you answer that one. It's going to be a bar chart. Okay. All right. So now that we kind of understand what we're going to be doing here, let's talk about the Excel functions we're going to be covering today. So just real quickly, the filter function is going to be used to display values which meet a certain criteria. This one's awesome. Use this one all the time. Offset, this one's not new, but this one's very cool. We're going to use this to display year-to-date sales. I think you're really going to think this one's cool. I love it. I think it's super cool. Index match, if you've been following me on LinkedIn for any amount of time, you know I love index match. This is actually a combination function. It's very dynamic, and it's going to be great for dashboards. Transpose, we're going to pair this with a filter function. This is another dynamic array function is what it's called. And then the unique function. This one's also dynamic as well. So now that we understand the Excel functions that we're going to be covering, I just want to announce that I have a new class out. It's called Excel Essentials for Finance. I'm going to go ahead and link it in the email. And I'm super excited about this one. So what this is it's a 5-hour self-paced Excel class. It's designed to bring your Excel skills into 2024 by teaching you some of the latest and greatest additions to Excel. And we do it with a finance spin. So if you're attending this webinar, my guess is that you probably work in the finance field. And this class is basically an Excel class, but with a finance spin on it. Now, visualization is one of the many topics that we cover in this class. And as a matter of fact, I have a second example in the class that I think you would also really enjoy. For the next 7 days, you can check it out for 25% off using the coupon code QUICK25. So a couple years ago, I created an Excel class. I noticed that a lot of what I was teaching had become outdated and no longer really reflected what I was using on the job. So this class is the updated version of my original class. In addition to the formulas I'm teaching today, I'll show you how to use Power Query and Power BI. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be having a Power Query seminar here in about 5 weeks. I'll link that in the email as well. Now, maybe you've heard of Power Query, maybe you've heard of Power BI, maybe not, that's okay. These tools are completely revolutionizing how financial professionals today are using Excel. So once again, if you're interested, the link's in the email. Please check it out. Please use the coupon QUICK25 and I'll give you 25% off. Again, that's only good for 7 days. And yeah, so I spent probably 4 months on this class. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Check it out. It'll cost you $59.99. And I really just, and I'll stop after this, but I really just can't emphasize how important it is to have Excel skills as a financial professional. You know, I can't even think of a single day over the past 5 years when I haven't used Excel, really in my personal life too. And this class is going to bring you up to speed. Not only are you going to learn more about visualization, but just all the steps that go into it before it. And I think you guys are going to love it. So I really recommend checking it out. That's all I've got. That's the plug. So, okay, let's go ahead and get into the exercise. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get into the exercise here. So here's our dynamic dashboards in Excel workbook. Go ahead and download that. I'm going to include that in the email. So it's going to be very hard for you to follow along if you don't have this. So make sure you have this up. If at the end you are interested in checking out the class, just simply click on this button here. This links to a sales page and you can check out the class. Once again, use QUICK25 for 25% off. So I think what we're going to do here is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the finished product so you can kind of get some context for why we're doing what we're doing today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the finished product here. Here's the dashboard. So let me go ahead and toggle through this so you can see what happens. Now, when we change the month or when we change the year, all these values below change. So this is really cool, right? So when we change this to say March, what it's going to do is it's going to pull different values from this calculations tab, right? So essentially what this calculations tab is the engine that makes the dashboard go. Okay, So just keep these numbers in mind for now. So 531,838 for sales this month, and then 1.578 million for year-to-date sales. So if we click on this calculations button, there we go, and there we go. So once again, the dashboard is pulling from those values. Now, if I change this to say June of 2022, let's keep this in mind, 578,000, 3.258 million. Okay. All right. So there we go. So the reason I show you this is to show you that there's kind of a background process going on here. And in just a minute, I'm going to show you how to build that background process using the functions that we just talked about. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Once again, I'll send this out to you at the end so that you can have your own copy of it and you can check your work. So, okay. And this is what it looks like as of right now. Now, if you were starting this from scratch, you'd have to build this yourself. But for the interest of time, I've gone ahead and started it for you. Same with the dashboard as well. So to start, let's go ahead and come over to the raw data tab here. So these are the exact same numbers that we saw in the slide just a minute ago. And these are January of 2021 through October of 2023. Now, let's say that you just got these October numbers. Today's December 8th, so that's not unheard of. So what we want to do is we want to present these numbers to management. Now, I stop it at October to kind of throw a little interesting wrinkle into this exercise that because it's not going to be very common that you have year-end numbers. Most of the time when you're going to be doing these type of reports, it's not going to be using year-end numbers. It's going to be using current numbers. So I do this to kind of throw that wrinkle into the exercise here. Okay, so step one, let's put this in a table. There's two ways you can do that. You can insert a table. Okay, make sure my table has headers is selected. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control-T. Okay. Control-T is in Thomas. Okay, so where's the data for your table? You see the dancing ants here. Click OK. Great. Now, I hate this. I'm just going to be honest with you. I hate this format. So I'm going to click on this arrow up here. Let's get rid of that. Okay, that looks much better. This used to prevent me from using tables in the first place. And honestly, you got to start using tables. They're so helpful. And now, the reason that we're going to use a table here is going to be evident to you in just a moment. Let's go over to the inputs. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a unique list of values from our table. You'll see why we're doing this here in just a few minutes. So in order to set up a unique list of values, let's use the unique function. So we'll say equals unique. Okay. The array is going to be the month number column. So click it so that we have month number here. Now, I'm actually going to back up here for just a moment here. So let's go back into the raw data tab. And what we want to do is name this table. Okay. Forgot about this. Okay. So let's come into formulas, click name manager, click table one, edit. You can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to call this data table. Okay. It's registered. Let's close it. Okay. Now, if you want to just see what's going on here, come over to cell K2 and just type data table. The values spill out. That's pretty cool, right? Okay. So let's get rid of that. Now, in order to get rid of this, you have to delete the value in cell K2. That's just kind of a side note. If I were to come here, try to delete it, nothing happens. Okay, so there you go. All right, we're back. Okay, let's set up the unique values. So we have equals unique. The array is going to be this column right here. Make sure that it says data table month number. Okay, now if I click this and it says raw data B2B, that's fine. Kind of takes a little bit of maneuvering here, but let's do that. Let's close it off, hit enter. Okay, the values spill out below. Let's do the same with the month. Okay, this time I'm just going to type it out. So we have data table, open bracket. Okay, and this time we're going to use month, close the bracket. There we go. Okay, so I forgot the unique function. My apologies. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's do the same for year. So we got to start this with a unique function here. Data table year. Boom, there we go. Okay, now the reason that I like to use a table here, let's say that we have November. Let's say that we're continually updating this spreadsheet, okay? We've got November, we've got December, and we've got January, okay? January 2024. Look at that. The unique function's picking that up. So that's pretty cool. In the past, you would use something called remove duplicate, so that's right here. But unique is awesome and really solves that problem. So let's get rid of these. I'm going to get rid of these as well. And you're going to want to take this table, see that little blue notch in the corner there? Take it so that it ends right there. Okay, very cool. All right, so we're set up. So the first thing that we're going to do in this table, I'm in the calculations tab now, so we're going to set up some drop downs. Okay, there's two ways you can do that. You can either do that by clicking the data tab, clicking data validation, and allowing for a list. Okay, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut here. It's Alt-DL. D as in dog, L as in Larry. Allow for a list, and the source is going to be on the inputs tab. There's two ways you can do this. You can select these values right here, or what you can do is you can type input C2 hash, okay? So what that hash is doing is it's calculating it's including all the values in that column starting at cell C2. The reason I like this is because if we had 2024 and 2025 eventually, it would pick those up too, but if I had just simply selected cells C2 through C4, it wouldn't pick those up. So this hashtag or the pound sign, depending on what generation you are, if you're Gen Z, it's a hashtag. If you're a baby boomer, it's probably the pound sign. Include that there. Click OK. All right. Now when we click, we have the toggle. Let's do the same for current month. So we have Alt-DL. Let's allow for a list. The source is going to be B2 hash. B2 hashtag. Okay, there we go. Let's select April of 2024. April 2022. Now for month number, what we want to do is we want it to link up so that the correct month number is displayed with the month. Okay, so if it's April, I want it to read 4. If it's July, I want it to read 7, and so on. Okay, so we're going to use an XLOOKUP formula to do that. XLOOKUP, way better than VLOOKUP. Just stop using VLOOKUP. So the lookup value is going to be cell P2. The lookup array is where we can find cell P2. It's going to be B2 hash. Okay, so if I let's try this again. Okay, XLOOKUP P2, comma, lookup array. If I select these, I automatically get the hashtag. You see that at the end there? That's pretty cool. Return array is going to be inputs A2. So essentially what's happening here is we're asking XLOOKUP to find the month number in column B and to find the month in column B and to return the month number in column A. Okay, let's close that out and hit enter. There we go. So now if we have July of 2022, we get the 7th month. And you'll see why we're doing this here in just a moment. Okay? So now that we have our drop downs off to the right, let's go ahead and set up our values here. Now, remember when we took a look at the finished product that we had all the values from the current year and all the values from the previous year. To do that, we're going to set up a filter function. Okay? So filter is a dynamic array function, and it's going to spill out all the values that meet a certain criteria. In this instance, we want that criteria to be the current year 2022. Okay, so we'll say equals filter. The array is going to be data table. Okay, so I'm actually going to come over into the raw data tab and select the entire table. Okay, and we're going to include when the data table year is equal to cell P1. You can leave that there if you want. I'm going to go ahead and delete this word that says calculations. Okay, there we go. All right, isn't that amazing? So take a look here in column C. So these are all the values from the table that meet that certain criteria. Now, if I change it, I get 2023. Notice it ends in October. Again, that's intentional. And 2021. Let's get it back to 2022 for now. Let's come into cell A3. Actually copy the formula in the formula bar. And we'll come in here. We'll paste it. Now what we want the previous year, okay? So this is the previous year table. So we want this when the data table year is equal to P1 minus 1. Okay? So if it's 2022 in this table up here, we want 2021 down here. Okay? So now when I change this, we get 2023 and 2022. Obviously, if you change it to 2021, we don't have 2020's values, and that's okay. So let's leave it at 2022 for now, and we'll say, let's just leave it on April. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 5 questions from our PowerPoint slide up on the screen here. Okay, I'll make that a little bigger so you can see it. Okay, how much did we sell in total this month? How does it compare to last month? That's exactly what we're going to use these green cells to answer. So CM total rev, current month total revenue. Okay, so let's go ahead and answer this first question. And to do that, we're going to use an index match function. Okay, so let's say equals index. Now the array is going to be total sales for the current year. So H3 through H14. Let me move this here. Okay, get that out of the way. The row number is going to be a match function. And we're going to match when the month number in cell P3 is found in this lookup array here. So P3, B3 through B14, comma, match type is exact match, 0. I'll leave this up here for you for just a moment. And let's press enter. Okay, great. So in April of 2022, we had $540,811 in total sales. Okay, that's this number right here. Great. All right, so how did this compare to last month? Let's use the same function to answer that question. So let's come in here to the formula bar. Let's copy this. Control C. Let's paste it here. Now, instead of P3, we want P3 minus 1. So previous month, in the case of April 2022, is March. Okay? So 531,838. That's this value right here. Okay? Now, if we change this, let's change it to 2023. There we go. All right, so first question is answered. So I'm going to remove this fill here, and let's go ahead and bold that. So that one's done. Now, while we're at it here, since we can answer question 3 using index match, let's go ahead and do that here in cell M3. So what I'm going to do, again, this is did we meet our sales goal this month, okay? So let's come into cell K3. Let's copy this formula. Let's paste it here, okay? I know it looks kind of funny because it's 2023. It looks like it's dipping down too low, but just keep it that way for now because if we had 2022. Anyway, so our sales goal, okay, so we gotta, I get a little ahead of myself here. So the sales goal is going to be in column I. So just click on this blue box, drag it over to column I, hit enter. So for April 2022, our sales goal was $575,000. Okay, great. Let's check it out for 2023. 625, great. All right, let's go ahead and remove this formatting here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up a percent change. So we wanna detect how much sales changed between the current month and the previous month. So K3 minus L3 all over L3. Okay, so they went down 4.1%. And in this instance, we want to track what percentage of our current, let's see, how should I say this? What percent of total revenues, how close were we to meeting our sales goal? Okay, so that's going to be K3 over M3. So we were almost 94% of our sales goal, okay? So in cell, let's see, in the cell directly beneath it, let's say 100% minus this right here. And that's going to be important when we go to build out our donut chart, okay? So boom, number 3 is knocked out. For question 2, how much have we sold to date, year-to-date sales? How does it compare to last year? We're going to use a function called offset for this one. Offset's not new, but it's amazing. You don't see it used very often. And I'm just going to set this up for you here real quick, and then I'll explain how it's used because it's easier to do it that way. So let's say equals offset. The reference is going to be cell H2. This probably doesn't make sense to you right away, but it will in a moment. Number of rows, cell P3. Number of columns is 0. Okay. So essentially what we've done here, and if you press F2 to pull up this formula, we've set H2 as our anchor, and we're moving 4 cells down from the anchor. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 585,221. That's what we have here. Now, remember, year-to-date sales isn't this value right here. It's actually the sum of these 4 values, so 2.412 million. So to do that problem here, it's actually very simple. So we're going to come in front of our offset formula, and we're going to type sum starting at cell H3. Okay, just delete that second H3, and we have the offset of H2, P3, and 0. Okay, so 2.412. That number should look familiar to you. Okay, let's do the same thing for previous year-to-date revenue. Okay, that's what that stands for. And CY is current year, excuse me. Okay, so let's take this formula. Let's copy it into cell L8. We're going to take this blue box and drag it down here. We're going to take the red box and drag it down here. Okay, so 2.119 million. And if we highlight these 4 values, again, we're going through April, so the 4 values, we get 2.119 million is the sum. Okay, awesome. Let's copy this formula and paste it down here. So in this instance, year-to-date sales in 2023 would be 13.9% higher than they were in 2022. Okay, very cool. All right, so this one's done. How did total sales trend this year, and how does it compare to last year? This one, again, is going to be a line chart. So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could just simply click A19 and drag this down. So we're setting up the year type here. Let's bring that up one. Okay, that's kind of the old school way of doing it. Let's go ahead and get into the 21st century here, guys. So let's say equals A19 through A30. There we go. So we see the values spill out below there. Now, just as a little side note, if you had something typed in here, like the number 1, you see that spill error. If you want to get rid of that spill error, just go ahead and delete that. So if and when you start using these dynamic array functions, you might see spill errors. All you got to do is just delete that value. Anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and paste the total sales values from this year. Let's see. I've got this set at 2023. I'm going to set it to 2022. I'll show you this. So let's take H3 through H14. Okay. Last year, H19 through H30. Okay, there we go. Here's a problem. When I bring this back to 2023, we get 0 values here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an if statement to only display values if one exists. So we'll say if H3 through H14 equals 2 quotations, comma, value if true is 2 quotations, so nothing essentially, and the value if false is H3 through H14. There we go. Okay. So now, if the value exists, we get it. If not, nothing. Great. Okay, so number 4, we can cross that one off. And number 5, finally, which products were our biggest sellers and how did they compare to the previous, compare to the other products? Let's go ahead and set up a product, a list of products here. So A through D, okay, there they are. They're horizontal. We want them vertical. So let's come up here, wrap this in a transpose function. There we go. Okay. Now, current month sales. Okay. So we want the current month sales by the product type. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up another filter function, and we're going to track G3 through G14. Once again, I know that 13 and 14 are blank, but if you had 2022 or 21 in there, it wouldn't be. So let's include when the month number, so again, we're setting up a conditional statement when B3 through B14 is equal to the toggle value, P3. Okay? Let's transpose this. There we go. All right. So now when we kind of click around in here, all the values change. Let's click on, there we go. All right. So question 5 is answered. Let's build our dashboard. Okay, here we go. So let's go ahead and build our dashboard. So again, sales this month is going to be a card, okay, or a text box. So let's come up to insert. Let's insert a text box. Let's put it right here. Click on the formula bar. Very important that you do this, okay? Let's click calculations. That's this cell right here, K3. Okay? I know the formatting doesn't look great. We'll change that in a minute. Okay? To copy this, let's press and hold Control and Shift. Let's bring it down here. So essentially what we're doing is we're just making another text box. And we want the values from last month. So that is in cell L3. And then the percentage change is L4. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Let's type calculations. Very important that you have it saying calculations, by the way, because that tells Excel which tab to bring it from in the text box. I know that sounds kind of silly that I bring that up and kind of elementary and beginner, but it's very important that calculations is up there. So let's go ahead and press and hold Control and Shift again. And the percent change is in cell L4. Okay, there we go. All right, let's format these boxes here, guys. So I'm going to click in this cell. Let's press Shift and the right arrow key. Let's press this blue. This is my brand color. That's why I like it. You can choose whatever you want. Let's make this 36. Let's center it. And let's put it in the middle like that too. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. And let's do the same with this one as well. Okay, so if we select this value, let's make this 20. Let's make it gray, like a dark gray here. There we go. Let's do the same with percent change. So Shift right. 20. Okay, there we go. Let's bold this one as well. All right, there we go. Let's center these. Okay, awesome. And here's a cool trick that I didn't discuss in the live webinar. So if you want to center these, like let's say that these are just kind of off kiltered here like that, what you're going to do is select both of these boxes, click Shape Format, Align, and you're going to align to the middle. You see that? So now they look all nice. Keeping these two boxes selected, let's select this one at the top. So all three boxes are selected. Let's select Shape, Outline, No Outline. There we go. Okay, so we have sales this month. Let's go ahead and press Control Shift. Let's bring it over here. Let's do the same with these two. Okay. Now for year-to-date sales, let's come back over to the Calculations tab. That is in cell K8. So we're going to type K8. You're going to lose the formatting here. That's okay. We can fix that. Last year's year-to-date sales were cell L8. The percent change is cell L9. Okay. So there's a 4.7% change from last year to this year. Let's go ahead and make this 36. Is that what this one was? We'll check in a second. Okay. Let's expand the box. There we go. Looks better. Okay. Let's make this 20. Gray. And we'll do the same with this one here. 20. There we go. Okay, nice. All right. So we have our sales this month, we have our year-to-date sales, and let's go ahead and build our donut chart here. So remember the donut chart was what percentage of our goal, how close were we meeting our goal, okay? So let's come over here into the calculations tab. Let's select these two cells. Let's insert a donut chart. This is under the pie chart dropdown, okay? Let's go ahead and delete the title. Let's delete this as well. And let's go ahead and right click here, format data series, click this 3 bars, 65%. I think that looks nice, okay? Now you want to double click on this blue value. If you want to change the color, let's click fill. Let's come in here, select this color. Doesn't matter what color you pick, it's up to you. But this one right here, this little sliver's got to be gray, okay? Let's make that a little darker, okay? So basically what this is showing is what percentage of our sales, how close were we, okay? Let's press Control X to cut this. Let's place it on our dashboard, okay? So let's sell L, what is that, L5? I'm gonna bring this over. Press and hold Alt, by the way, to do what I just did. Okay, let's resize this a little bit. Okay, now let's put a text box in here. Okay, so let's do this. We want to link this to cell M4. Okay, so 97.8%. Let's center this, make it blue. Well, let's try 20. Okay. 24. Okay, good enough. Okay, let's insert another text box. So 97.8% of sales goal. Okay. There we go. Let's remove the outline. Okay. There we go. And let's also remove the outline on this box. Okay, there we go. All right, just a couple more things to do and then we can wrap up here. So total sales by month. Again, this is a line chart. Let's make sure that you have 2022 selected here. It gets confused if it's 2023. Just kind of a side note. Select these values. Let's insert a line chart, 2D line chart. Okay, there we go. Let's get rid of all this chart garbage here. So these grid lines. Let's get rid of the title. I'm going to go ahead and right click on the y-axis. Let's format it. Let's make the maximum 200,000. There you go. Whoops, that's... Wait, what happened here? Undo that. Format the axis. Here we go. Units. That's what we need. Okay. Let's click on this line. Let's make it Analyze Finance blue. Let's smooth it. Click this one. Click the paint bucket. Let's make this one gray. The reason I like gray here is because this is last year. You're kind of de-emphasizing last year, if you will. Let's decrease the width. Smooth this one out as well. Boom. Looks good, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and cut this one. Okay. Bring it back over to the dashboard. Put it in cell B20. There we go. Let's remove the shape outline. There we go. Okay, press and hold Alt. There we go. Okay, I like that better. Okay, calculations. Okay, last thing we need to do is make a bar chart. Okay, so remember that this is by product type. So let's go ahead and insert a bar chart, 2D bar chart, clustered bar. Okay, let's bring this off to the side. Let's get rid of all this chart junk here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the y-axis, format axis. Let's put the categories in reverse order. Notice how they're product D through A right now. We want A through D. Okay, let's actually even get rid of this x-axis here. Click on these buttons. Click on this 3 bars. Let's make this 90 for the gap width. I'm going to make this Analyze Finance blue. And let's go ahead and add some data labels here. So right click right here, add the data labels. There we go. I don't want these as the full numbers. I actually just want them in thousands. So let's right click on the data labels, format data labels, number, category is custom. Click this one right here. It may be a little different on your screen, but essentially the format code you're going to want is going to be $, number, comma, quotation K. Okay. So $, hashtag, comma, quote, K, quote. Click add. Okay. Notice how those values are updated. Let's go ahead and make that blue. Okay, that's pretty cool, right? I love that. Let's go ahead and remove the shape outline. We're ready to go. Okay, let's put this in cell I-21, see how it looks. Let's move this over. Press and hold Alt. There we go. All right. Now, okay, so this is looking really similar to the finished product, right? You can kind of play around with this, and if you want to resize this, or I'm actually just gonna, let's just not do that. Sorry. All right. So last thing we need to do here is link this up. Okay. Sales dashboard for what month is it? What month is this? Okay. What month are we looking at? Let's click on calculations. Let's go ahead and bring cell P2. Press Control X to cut. Bring it right here. Do the same with current year. Okay. There we go. Let's make these blue. Let's make the font white. I chose Seago UI. That's just my favorite font. Make this 23. Okay. Bold it. There we go. All right. Here's the moment of truth, guys. Let's cross our fingers and hope this works. Yeah. I love it. All right. All right. So notice that it shows there's a big drop off here. I'm actually going to show you how to fix this, okay? Since I got you here, okay? The reason that it's doing that is because there's no values here, okay? So we're going to change this formula. Instead of value if true, we're going to NA, okay? So what that is it's a not available. So essentially it's going to throw up an error if nothing exists, okay? So just keep that in mind, okay? I'm just going to justify these because I'm, formatting geek like that. Okay. There we go. Looks great, right? Okay. There we go. You can play around with these if you want to. Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, my email is phil@analyzefinance.com. Once again, check out Excel Essentials for Finance. I'm giving you 25% off. I made it super easy for you. Click here to learn more. Now, in that class, you're going to learn all this stuff right here. So this is just one part of that class. And not only am I going to teach you more about visualization, but I've got another example for you. And it's going to be pretty similar to this one, but it's not going to be quite the same. So if you want to check that out, again, click this button. Quick25 is your code. Thank you guys so much for attending. And again, shoot me an email if you have any questions. I'm actually hosting another webinar in mid-January. I'm going to send you the details. I'll go ahead and shoot that out in the email as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll talk soon. See ya. Bye.